Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Now today, I know I've been out of circulation for a while and only doing lives, but nothing brings me out of hibernation more than a new Charlotte Tilbury launch, as you know. And she has brought out her Look of Love collection, and I went a bit mad because I do love the instant look in a palette. So let me go through what is in the Look of Love collection first of all, and then I'm going to show you some swatches, and I'm going to do a look using one of the palettes. Now what I will do is I will do some comparisons with her other instant look in a palettes because I've got them all, but I'm going to save that for another day. This is just kind of a first impression and a try on. Okay, so in this collection she's brought out two instant look in a palettes, but they're slightly different. So here is the box. I love these boxes. I think they're really cute, and the front of them is not quite like her old instant looks. They look more like the Glowgasm. Actually no, the Glowgasm ones were white at the front, weren't they? So these are kind of a rose gold. So you look, if you look at her other instant look in a palettes, which I've got one here, you can see that's what her other instant look in a palette, and this needs a bit of a polish on the front, but that's what the instant look in a palette looks like. These are exactly the same size, but they're rose gold. And what they've done, I haven't taken it off yet, but they've actually put some plastic coating on the front for you to peel off so that it looks lovely and sparkly new when you take it off. Just protects the front. So that's a really nice touch. And then on the back, you see the heart. Now, there are two palettes. One is basically for fairer skin and quite fair skin, I would say. And then the other one is for medium to dark. And I would say more medium than dark, to be honest. So we have Glowing Beauty and we have Pretty Blush Beauty. Now, I'm going to show you Pretty Blush Beauty, which is this one here. And as I say, this bronzer is very, very fair. So it really would be really good if you've got very fair skin. Then now what's different about these palettes is you've got your three eyeshadows. You've got one blush this time, just a pop, and a highlighter in the middle. And then she's put a powder instead of doing a large highlighter, and I think that's really good because that's the kind of thing that was missing from the instant look in a palette. So it made me really excited about these because I think that's about enough highlighter as you need. You're always going to need a bit more bronzer, but you always want to have powder. So I think that's an excellent idea. So well done, Charlotte. We love it. I love it anyway. Instead of having a swish and pop blush, just one blush, one highlight, and then a powder. So this powder is a fair airbrush powder, which you know I use a lot. So I did want to get this one as well because I just love the eyeshadow shades. And then you've got, I'm going to show you the swatches of this one with and without flash coming up now. Okay, then for medium to dark skin, I say more medium because I think this powder, to be quite honest, is not one that is going to be dark enough if you're really tanned. That is more shade 2, I would say, of the airbrush powder. So they've kind of tried to make it as universal as possible. But I think if you were very dark and you use her deep powder, then this isn't going to work for you because this is more like the medium. But anyway, you see there's three beautiful shades here. This one in the middle is more like a topper. I'm going to show it you in a minute, but if you look at it, it just feels more like a topper than a kind of enhanced shade. But anyway, intrigued to try that. The bronzer is perfect. I would say that's a tan bronzer, very similar to the Airbrush tan shade. And then you've got this beautiful cheek shade, which is a darker version of the one in the other palette, really. It's a kind of peachy, almost raspberry, and then a gold highlighter. So anyway, I'm not going to go into too much depth because I've swatched them with and without a flash coming up now. Okay, now here's the really interesting thing. Because you know me, I will always give it to you honestly. So Charlotte said that this is her new formula in terms of the eyeshadow. So it leads you to believe that it's like her new eyeshadow palettes that had the new formula. And if you remember, there was all this controversy about the fact that they were about half the weight of her usual palettes, and she said it was all to do with the formula. Now, she says that this is the new formula, and the reason that that's interested me quite a bit is because, I mean, they do actually look quite similar, the formulas, and they feel quite similar to those palettes, you know, the ones that I mean. But the weight of the eyeshadows is exactly the same as in her original Instant Look in her palettes. So I never quite bought that whole thing of it's a different formula and therefore it's lighter. And if you're saying, Charlotte, that these are the new formula as you put in the new quad palettes, then you've either put double the amount in, or I'll leave it for you to decide, because they're exactly the same weight as our original ones. So to me, that kind of suggests that they don't weigh anything different. The new formula doesn't weigh anything different. It's just that they put less in those quads. But I'll leave it up to you to decide. But anyway, these eyeshadows have got the same amount in. There's slight difference between the bronzer and the powder, which I think because the powder's airbrush, I think there probably would be. So it says that one of them is 19 ounce and one is 21 ounce. I would imagine, it doesn't say which is which, but I would imagine that the airbrush powder's the one that's slightly lighter. And then, of course, you're not getting as much highlighter, but I don't think you need it. So I'm really pleased. I prefer to have the addition of the powder in the palette, because I think these are great palettes for when you're out and about in a hurry and you want to do your makeup in a hurry. And one thing you want is powder at the end of it. Even if you put powder on, like I've done, I've put my foundation on and I've put some powder on to set. You always want something to kind of set again once you've finished, and to kind of top up throughout the day. So I think this really makes it a better Instant Look in a palette, having the powder in there. She did bring out a palette a while back, if you remember, which did have powder in it. But the powder wasn't very big, and I think they didn't sell very well. It was an exciting concept because you had the powder in there, but it was just for the face. I think it's great to have the eyeshadows, the powder, the blush, and the bronzer all in the one palette. It's just really improved the idea and made it really exciting to me. Now, moving on to the rest of the collection. Now, the other thing that's in this collection, of course, is the lip and cheek tints. Now, I did buy one. a while back, as you know, and I cannot for the life of me find it. I will dig it out for later on. I think I spent so long throwing it over my shoulder because I wasn't that impressed with it, that it's probably sitting on the floor somewhere out of my reach. They're not my favourite things. I think there are better products out there. As you know, I've not made any bones about that. But that is nevertheless part of the collection. And I think there's about 6 lip and cheek tints available. She's also brought out some lipsticks. Now, a lot of the lipsticks are existing shades. So there's Mrs. Kisses and Mrs. Kisses. There is First Dance, Wedding Bells, Nude Romance, which of course is the new one. Now, I didn't get all of the Mrs. Kisses and those ones when they came out. I wasn't really that keen. I thought, I've got lipsticks that look like that. But I was tempted to get a couple of these. So what I did is I got one of the full sizes. I do love these boxes. I got one of the full sizes in First Dance, which I can swatch you. And I also got Wedding Bells in the refill. So I thought, there's no point getting another lipstick because I can just swap them over and refill. I've got a few of these lovely bullets now. So the bullets are £28. The refills are £19. So if you want to try a few colours like me, then you can get one of these and then get a refill in another colour and swap them about. Just remember that the refills do not have the name printed on the side, I don't think, which can get very confusing. So if you're swapping them about, just be careful if you want to know what colour you've got, because they don't have it. Now, these lipsticks are really, really pretty. I'm going to show you some swatches here. Also, I've taken some photos and zoomed in as much as I can. The camera doesn't catch it very well. They've got some lovely imprints on the lipstick. I'm going to show you both of them here. So let me see if I can capture it more on video. Can you see that there is a heart there? But also when you twist it up a bit further, there's kind of wings coming out of the heart. They're really, really pretty. Lovely gift idea. So that one is First Dance. Now the other one, which I got, which is Wedding Bells. One second. Right, the other one has got a heart like that on there. So they're really, really pretty. They're, again, a lovely collection. I love the heart design and everything else. So that's basically it. So in the collection, there's 2 instant looking at palettes, a lighter one and a darker one. There are, I think, because the Nude Romance, which came out a few weeks ago, is in the collection, I think there's about 5 lipsticks and then there is about 6 lip and cheek tints. But I'm going to put all the details in the description bar below. Now, I've got to get ready because I've been rushing around again today. I've got to get ready to go and pick Jack up from school. So I've put my foundation on. Again, all the details of my base will be in the description bar. And I'm going to put the darker one of the 2 on today. And then tomorrow in my live, I will put the lighter one on and hope that it shows up on me. I think some of it will, but some of it I'll have to kind of mix and match. All right, let's get going with this, shall we? And I'll put one of the lipsticks on as well. Okay, I didn't realise how close to the time of picking Jack up. So I'm going to start this here and I'll probably finish it in the car on the way to the school, okay? Because I'm really going to be late otherwise. First on in, we're going to go in with the Eye Brighten and put that on my lids. I love that. I do love these shades in the Instant Look in a palettes, but it is quite similar to, this is reminding me quite a bit, this shade, of the one that is in Beauty Glow. And of course she's got Beauty Glow and she's got Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, and now she's got this one. So they're all quite similar names, but this does remind me a lot of Beauty Glow, this particular shade. But very pretty and very, very wearable. And as you can see, you can get this on very quickly, which is good, nicely pigmented. And then you've got the Eye Enhance. Now, this is the one I was talking about that almost looks like a topper, and it's got kind of almost like a lilac-y glitter particles in it. And I'm not sure about putting this near the hood of my lid, but actually it's going on quite nicely. It looked a little bit intimidating, but actually it's not actually going on that badly. It looked a bit too sparkly and like it wasn't going to work on my hooded lids, but actually I quite like it. And it does remind me of her quads. I think I might go a bit later to pick Jack up because I never get parking space and then they all leave. He's so long coming out that I might just finish off here. Right, so that is the enhanced shade, which is this one here. And then I'm going to go in with the Eye Smoke. Now, the Eye Smoke, as I said, I'm going to do comparisons tomorrow, but the Eye Smoke reminds me very much of Walk of Shame or Walk of No Shame. Now, this is quite dark, so if you're fairer, don't think if you're fair that you've got to get the one for fair skin. Go for the one you like, or go for both of them if you're like me. If you're fairer, you might want to use this more as a liner. But I quite like to use a matte shade in the socket. And I like that because it's kind of brick brown. It's not too dull. It's nice, warm, a warm brown. Beautiful. And as you can see, you really don't have to work that hard with these. And that's what I love about these palettes, because they just blend so beautifully together. Now, I'm just going to dot a bit of this highlighter. That's quite gold. So that the highlighter, I think, is going to be really good if you've got dark skin. But I would probably want to use the highlighter from the other palette, especially on that area, maybe not on my cheeks, but that's a little bit too dark a highlighter for me to highlight under my brow. Right, then I'm going to go in with the bronze shade. I'm going to whiz through this and we'll just get going, and then I'll do my final thoughts in the car. Okay, so here is the bronze shade. That's perfect for me. It is, I would say, the equivalent of buying shade 3 in tan of the Airbrush Flawless Bronzer. And it actually feels quite like the Airbrush Flawless Bronzer, although it doesn't say it is the Airbrush formula, but it does feel like, it feels a little bit more creamy than our past bronzers. Okay, and then we've got the cheek pop. I'll just get my brush. I'll be right back. Okay, I like the look of this cheek pop. I went a bit timid then, and there was no need to. I like that. It's quite matte. It's quite matte, but then the highlighter is quite glowy, so I quite like that because I do get open pores around this area. So when I'm putting my blush on, I don't really like something that's too glowy in terms of a blush. And then finally we've got, well, not finally, but we've then got the highlighter, which is called, oh, I thought it said Spotlight, but it just says Highlight. Now that is actually fine on my cheekbones, but I think you can see if you're fair, you may not be that enamoured of the, it's a very warm highlighter. So this would look beautiful on darker skins or skins from my colouring upwards towards the darker end. But if you're fairer than me, that highlighter might be a little bit too warm for you. Great in the summer, gives you a great glow, but it's not going to be one that you could put in the inner corner or up there unless you're darker skinned, okay? I'll probably want to revert to the other one, as I said. And then we've got the face powder, which I'm just going to use here. And as I said, this is definitely medium shade 2. I'm a bit worried that if you darker skinned, you're going to get, the highlighter's going to be great for you, but this powder might wash you out a little bit. It's great for me because I use medium and I use light. But I think it's going to be difficult because she's trying to make these as universal as possible. And I think if she'd gone any darker with the powder, that would have left a lot of people out too. So she's tried to compromise. And then finally, I'm just going to very quickly put on one of the lipsticks and I'll tell you my thoughts in the card. This is, I've been dying to try this one. It's called First Dance. And I'm not going to use lip liner because I haven't got time. So let's put this on now. Right, no time for mascara. I've done my brows. But I'm going to get back to you in a minute once I get to Jack's school. So see you all in a second. Okay, I managed to get a parking space and I'm now outside Jack's school. So my thoughts about this palette. When I first applied it indoors, I actually thought it was very similar to Beauty Glow, the eyeshadow. But actually in the light, it looks more rose gold than the Beauty Glow, which looks more towards the yellow spectrum. So it's got more of a pinkish rose gold to it. It's very, very pretty. I'm really fascinated to do some swatch comparisons. Now, in terms of kind of duplicates and swatch comparisons, you will probably find that some of the eyeshadows and the blushes look quite similar to previous Instant Look in a palettes. And we will delve into that in my next video. But I do think it was an absolute genius idea to put the powder in it. And I think it just makes it so much handier for when you're out and about. I love my Instant Look in a palettes. The formula, the eyeshadow formula definitely feels different. It feels like her updated formula and it feels very, very pigmented. A lot more pigmented than in previous Instant Look in a palettes. I do think it's very difficult in terms of getting a palette, an Instant Look in a palette, to be as universal as possible for different skin tones. And I think therein lies the problem. So the highlighter is too dark for me to use, as I said, in these areas. I can get away with it on the cheek. It's still a little bit on the dark side, but would be perfect for Afro-Caribbean skin. It would look really beautiful. But the bronzer is probably not dark enough for Afro-Caribbean skin. So it's very, very difficult. And also in terms of getting the powder right, I think the only way really Charlotte's going to get around that is to actually bring out 3 Instant Look in a palettes and actually have a light one, a medium one and a dark one. I think trying to do it in 2, they've got to sacrifice somewhere. And I do think the the good thing about the Airbrush Flawless powder is it's quite translucent, so it should be workable-ish for darker skins. Perhaps not very dark, but darkish skins, that you can kind of get away with it. But it's definitely medium, more than medium to tan airbrush. I will double check against my Airbrush Flawless powders when I'm doing the swatch comparisons, but it felt to me like the powder was more medium than tan. The bronzer was definitely more towards the tan side, and it felt more like the Airbrush formula than her old Instant Look in a palette formula. A lot creamier. That's what makes it feel like it might be the Airbrush bronzer formula. But I'm really, really happy with it. Really excited. Can't wait to try the lighter version in tomorrow's live. And I just think they're such good value for money, because yes, they're £55, but you're getting the eyeshadow, you're getting your bronzer, you're getting your highlighter, you're getting your blush, and now you're getting your setting powder as well. So I think they work out as really good value for money, and things that I slip in my car all the time. I love my Instant Look in palettes. So well done, Charlotte. Loving the lipstick. This one does remind me a lot. My sister is getting really into makeup these days, and she saw this and she said, that reminds me of the Queen. So I'm definitely going to do a swatch comparison. It looks very similar to the Queen, actually, but a very wearable darker pink for those of you that might be going for the darker one of the two palettes. And the other one that I got, which was, this is First Dance. The other one was Wedding Bells, is more towards the kind of Pillow Talk, 50 Shades of Elastoplast. Okay, so I would say overall, I would say that this is a really good buy. She hasn't brought out an Instant Look in a palette for a while. The last one was Stoned Rose, which was about 1.5 years ago, although I know it's still available. I would definitely say that I prefer this one to Stoned Rose if you're going, because it's just more pigmented, and I think the eyeshadows are a better formula, and of course because they've got the powder in there. So that's my view. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you all tomorrow at my live at 1 o'clock. Take care. Have a lovely day. I'm now going to connect. I've got a lovely heated seat cushion for my car for when my back is bad, which is basically all the time now. So I'm going to go try and fit it while I'm waiting for Jack. Love you all. Have a lovely day. Mwah. Bye-bye.